Nation of Fit and 10, welcome to day 16, and numbers were sent out yesterday. Your macros and of course your intervals, those both changed for virtually all of you. Another announcement I want to make, scans are coming up, not this week, but the following week, and they're going to take place on the 18th and 19th. I will put up the calendar shortly so you can book in your scan. That weekend, that is the weekend of the 21st, 22nd. That's a long weekend, so I don't want to run scans during that time because I know a lot of you are going to be away. So 18th and 19th will be your next scans. Also, just related to your macros, somebody asked me, what are the changes based off of why the changes the way they are? So for the majority of you, the changes are just simply an increase in your protein, because I started you off on a little bit lower protein, and all I want to do is increase that. And just a reminder, where do your calories come from? Well, your calories come from basically three things: your age, your gender, and most importantly, your lean body mass. And of course, the amount of output that you're doing per week. That is all the exercise you're doing that I prescribe to you in the challenge. But yeah, there's not a huge, there's no change to your overall energy intake. There's just a change in the ratio of your macros. All right, yesterday I talked about fiber, and we talked about soluble and insoluble, and most of the examples, and I say most because a lot of these foods contain both soluble and insoluble, but a lot of the examples I gave of fiber yesterday were soluble, and those include things like lentils, nuts, oats, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, turnips, carrots, apples, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, etc. Some insoluble examples include whole wheat flour, wheat bran, beans, cauliflower. Cauliflower would have both. Green beans, potatoes, etc. And if you don't remember, essentially insoluble fiber goes right through you. It basically acts as a laxative. It does some other things, but basically we can think of it as a laxative. And soluble fiber, this is a little bit different. This is a fiber where it basically acts as a nutrient, so to speak, for your the bacteria in your large intestine, and the bacteria converts it into short chain fatty acids, and those fatty acids have a host of health promoting benefits in the human body. So we want to make sure we get enough fiber in your diet. This is one reason why I'm a big fan of incorporating all foods in the diet, because all foods, every category of food has many health promoting benefits. Of course, when we look at fiber, we're looking at things, primarily we're looking at plant-based foods, or non-animal based foods, really. And one thing that I didn't mention was, and you may have already thought about this, well, if insoluble fiber goes right through you and it's considered a carbohydrate and it's in my carbohydrate total, why am I counting it towards my calories? So this is a very good question. And yeah, I mean, essentially, to my knowledge and everything that I know, and I say this because there's always new information coming out. So it's just what we know at this point in time. Insoluble fiber shouldn't count for anything. It should just go right through you. And of course, this would fall within your carbohydrate totals. Now, MyFitnessPal does say net carbohydrates, so it might take this into consideration. I believe it does. I mean, I have to check it out. There's always updates happening to MyFitnessPal as well. So it may already take that into consideration. In any event, I don't want to overcomplicate it. We're going to keep fiber in as a carbohydrate, and we're going to count it as a carbohydrate just for the sake of ease. Soluble fiber is a little bit different, however. On average, and it depends on the type of soluble fiber, we see anywhere from about 1 to 3 calories per gram of soluble fiber, depending, like I said, on the fiber. And I think from what I understand and what I've heard, at least to the most recent research that's out there, it can also depend on the types of different bacteria that we have in our large intestine in terms of how much calories we get out of these things. So it's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting to note. And also we can't always look at calories or things as fat promoting things. We have to look at these as health promoting things. All right, so we want to make sure we get an ample amount of fiber. I think yesterday I mentioned, females, if you're smaller, getting around that lower 20 gram per day mark. If you're a larger female, up around that 30 grams per day, and males, in that 30 to 35 gram range, depending on your size. And we're really talking about minimums here. Of course, we don't want to overindulge in fiber. You're gonna, obviously, you'll have some very noticeable issues if you do that. I'm sure as you're all aware. So we want a happy medium with fiber. So you may want to take a look at MyFitnessPal and just take a look at your fiber total for the day in and day out. But if you're eating real whole food, you should be getting enough fiber. Okay, but just to recap here, really, insoluble fiber counts as nothing calorically speaking. Soluble fiber, on average, we're looking at about 2 calories per gram. All right, so in some ways, we're kind of looking at fiber as free food. Okay, let's get to the message of the day. What is my message of the day? Today's message is, this is you versus you. You gotta focus on yourself. You'll potentially always find somebody who's in a better position perhaps, or has better results. And I always hear from people, I always hear inevitably from somebody that they know somebody who can eat all this whatever, they don't put on a pound. I'm telling you right now, while there may be some differences in metabolism, it's not going to be, and when I'm talking about metabolism, I'm talking about basically your resting metabolic rate. It's not going to be huge. Okay, generally speaking, it's not going to be huge unless you've got some sort of major outlier type, I don't want to call it illness, but you have something in you that's not functioning correctly, like your thyroid or something. Where the biggest change in metabolism comes in, and this is not metabolism per se, this is what people often think is metabolism. Where the biggest change comes in is in your amount of non-exercise activity that you do. The amount of energy that you put in your day just doing daily activities, even just expressing yourself, even just whether you fidget or not, this can add up to a lot. At the end of the day, when you add up all of your non-exercise activity, it can be the difference between, it can make hundreds of calories of difference. And if you add that up every day, that's a huge difference. All right, anyways, I go off course, but it really reminds me of that because people tend to look at other people and ask, well, why is this working for them? And why is it not working for me? But ultimately, this is you versus you, and you have to focus on yourself, and you have to look at what you're doing, and you have to look at the things that you can improve upon, right? This is the most important thing. Where is it that perhaps I can brush up on? Where are the areas that perhaps will help me more that I'm not fulfilling 100%? This is what you need to look at, not why is somebody else, making great results or whatever, okay? This is you versus you. It's only about you. And that's the way it ought to be, right? Okay, at least for this challenge, okay? Focus on yourself. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. See you guys.